Thanks for clicking on Total Harmonic Distortion channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Carvin X1 tube preamplifier. In addition to being a tube preamplifier, this has a 1-watt speaker output and also an effects loop that can be enabled and disabled by this switch. Right now it's in bypass mode, but if you click this switch, it basically turns it from bypass mode on-off to the effects send on-off, which is actually quite handy. And in addition, there's another output on the side that controls the cabinet voiced output. That looks something like this. So there's two outputs. There's a 412 and a 212 cabinet. And it's an analog, it's not an IR, but it's an analog filter. But that's the output of that thing. So let's go back in and take a look at a few more of the features. In addition to the bypass, there's you can enable and disable this graphic equalizer, and you can turn it on and off for either the lead channel or the clean channel, which is rhythm in this case. There's a gain thing that only affects the distortion side, and it appears to, in addition to adding about 6 dB of gain to the input, it also removes a high-pass filter that appears to be pre-distortion, and we'll look at that later. And then finally, there's a switch between clean and distortion. And the clean and distortion share the same EQ, but you can enable or disable the graph equalizer depending on the state of these switches. Now, one thing I sort of noticed on this was that it's kind of hard to get a good clean sound and a good distorted sound. Because if you basically tune the thing to a clean sound, it's acceptable. And personally, I don't like this down so far at 350 hertz, but I really like this up more around 500 hertz because it's more of a Fender thing. But you can kind of do that with the graph equalizer. But you get this really, really big divot. And there's really no way of getting that out. I'll take all the treble out, boost the mids all the way, and put the graph equalizer in there. And that's about as flat as you can go as far as the clean channel is concerned. But the thing is, since it shares the same EQ, that means when you switch over to the distortion side, you get a curve that looks more like this, which is really boosty and mid-rangey. So you could try to take care of it with the graph equalizer, but I'll show you what happens when you try to do that. First off, let me just flatten this out. Pull the mids down, the bass up. Okay. As far as the graph equalizer, okay, I could knock 500 hertz out and I could knock 1500 hertz out, but you can see it puts little divots in there. It's like the Q of the filters aren't really quite wide enough. So if you do boost everything, you just kind of get these Kobe kind of things going on. I wish that it's almost as if they took a 10-band graph equalizer and chopped off all the middle ones and just used that as their circuit. So you can't really, it's not quite a graph equalizer, it's more of a peaky kind of a thing. So that really, so you can either get a reasonable clean channel or a reasonable distortion channel on this. And let's take a look at distortion. We'll drop over to the harmonic analyzer and take a look at this. It looks about as flat as I can get it. Okay, looking on the harmonic side, as I said, we're going to take a look at the gain. And when the gain is disabled, let me pull this down a little more because I know what's going on. I got too much bass in the signal. The bass kind of screws things up because of the way I'm doing this. But anyways, okay. So pull the drive in and out, and you can see the drive in and out really boosts the harmonics. And if it was post distortion like this graph equalizer is, it would affect all the harmonics. But it's really kind of a weird call because everything kind of gets mixed together because there's a filter on top of the distortion and another filter and then a graph equalizer after all that. But I'm pretty sure the graph equalizer is post distortion because it would start distorting more on this particular frequency. And you can see from this graph over here, when you do the 12 dB boost and cut, it really doesn't start distorting that one particular frequency. As I move the drive up, you can see it distort more and more. There is one interesting thing is when you move this drive up all the way to 10, it just starts really opening up the high frequencies, which you can kind of see over here. So as drive at about 7, the frequency response is, well, it's still going up to 20 kilohertz, but I measure beyond 20 kilohertz since it's distortion. It kind of looks, it goes beyond that too. But you see, it's just adding a bunch of extra harmonics when you go up into the higher frequencies. I don't know. It doesn't sound bad. It's a low voltage tube preamplifier. So let's give it the best chance of being noise free as possible by throwing it to the clean channel, and we'll take a look at the noise floor on this thing. All right, I don't have that too much high hopes on this thing. It might be some sort of a noisy thing going on with the power supply on this thing. But, yeah, there's a lot of 120 hertz, so that's probably 60 hertz hum kind of a thing coming in here. Let's see if I can pull that out somehow. I don't know, I guess not. But anyways, so that's the Carvin X1 tube preamplifier. Let's take a look on browser and see what these things kind of go for. There's not very many of them out there anymore. There is one available on Reverb. Let's do the product detail on this. It's probably used. So it's a $50 price drop. Actually, this is from the official Carvin store. So typically these just go for $449. There's a $399 sale for the holidays. Anyways, that's the Carvin X1 tube preamplifier. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, subscribe to this channel.